Hi guys. In the previous class we discussed what mean is, the definition of mean, and we took an example of a class which had just 5 students, just to understand what mean is, right? So in this class let's take an actual example of a class which has 30 students here, and let's take the subject as math and the marks as 100, right? So these are the marks obtained by the students in the subject math. Alright, do you see the values here? This is called the data here, and the first is the marks obtained, which is 10, 20, 36 and so on, and the number of students who got those marks. For example, one student got 10 marks, another student got 20, and 3 of the students got 36, 4 got 40 and so on. Alright, now to understand the mean or to find out the mean, let's convert this into a table. All right, I have just transposed all the values here in this rows to column. All right, and before we go here, what would these be called? We discussed this in the previous class. So what would be these values here? So these values would be our observations, right? And what would this be? This will be our frequencies. Alright, so now let's get to the table here. We see that I have just mentioned all the marks here, and let us denote all these marks, these values, by x. So xi, which means I here x1 would be 10, x2 would be 20 and so on. So that's xi there. And then followed by the number of students who've got these marks, and I've denoted that by f. So fi is like f of 1 would be like 1, f2 would be 1, f3 2 and so on. f3 would be 3, f4 would be 4 and so on. Now how do we find out mean of this? So since we discussed the definition of mean, which is the sum of values of all the observations divided by the total number of observations. So what would that be here? So when I say mean, let's denote it by x bar here. It is the sum of values of all observations divided by the total number of observations. Right? So what would this be now? Sum of values of all the observations. So how would we find out the sum of values of all the observations? So we need to find out what are the values and how many times it has occurred. In this case, how many students have got those marks? Here, one student got this mark. So this would be 10. I am just multiplying this value with this. So another student got 20. So our fi xi would be 20. 3 students got 36. So that would be 36 into 3. This would be 108. And if you keep calculating, if you keep multiplying the x value with f value, you keep getting your fi xi values. And now, what does it say here? Sum of values of all observations. So I need to add all this. And if I add all this, remember we denote summation by this symbol sigma. And this would be fi xi would be equal to 1779. I've added and kept already, so it's 1779, and this is our value, 1779 divided by, now what is this total number of observations here? So the total number of observations would be, see, the number of students, that would be summation of f of I, and we already know this is 30 students. It cannot be more than 30. We know we have taken the data for just 30 students, so this will be 30. Now when we do 1779 by 30, we get the mean, which is, I've already calculated and kept it, it is 59.3. So this would be your mean marks of the data. So the data is of the classroom, so this would be the mean marks of the whole classroom.